Hey everybody, it's Rick Beato, and today's Everything Music. It's What Makes This Song Great, episode 61. The band is Van Halen and the song is Jump. So why did I decide to do another Van Halen song now? Well, I had this guitar in pieces for the last year and a half, and I finally got the neck put on and rolled out my Marshall last night, and I sat down and I played. And I was like, what is that? And I thought, oh, that's Jump. So that's what we're going to be talking about today, coming up next. Jump was the first single off Van Halen's sixth studio record entitled 1984. The record came out on January 9th, 1984, but the single was actually released to radio on December 21st, 1983. Now, when I did my greatest rock keyboard sounds of all time video, I included the intro of Jump, which was played on an Oberheim OBXA keyboard. That is really the foundation for the track. Actually, Eddie had written the riff on keyboards a couple years before, but David Lee Roth apparently didn't want to do that because he preferred Eddie's guitar work. This is really an iconic rock keyboard riff. Now, there's many tutorials on YouTube on how to play the song, but I want to talk about actually what is going on in the keyboard part. So it begins with this low C pedal tone, and there are these triads that move above it. So what is interesting about that is that it uses a technique that I talked about in my Genesis Dance on a Volcano video, on AC/DC Back in Black, actually on many videos, including a video that I entitled Pedal Point, or Why You Love Pedal Point. Now, when I talk about pedal point, there's all these triads that are moving over this C bass note. For example, it starts on G over C, to C over C, to F over C. So you're using the 1, 4, 5 of the key of C. The 1 chord is C major, the 4 chord is F major, and the 5 chord is G majors. But it actually starts on a 5 over 1, to 1, to 4 over 1, 5 over 1, and then it goes down to F major here, to C over F, and then to G sus 4. Now there's a lot of sus chords in there, sus meaning suspended. I also have a video called Why You Love Sus Chords. So this song combines all these different ideas and techniques. Matter of fact, there's a lot of different chord changes in this song, which we'll get to in a minute. On the second phrase of the intro, the synth part changes slightly. Listen to it. And then it returns. So all that's going on there is over the C pedal, he hits the F to C, and then it returns back to the low register part. So after one time around the chord progression, the band enters, and it enters on the keyboard line that goes, okay, it goes 5, 1, 5, 1. And the drums come in like this. Check it out. I love it because that last hit, he actually hits the ride. He's crash, 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 and then the ride pings out over it. This is what happens in the bass. Plays the exact thing that the keyboard plays, but then we have this really incredible scream that's double track. Listen. I love that squeal that David Lee Roth was always able to get out of his voice. On the first record, none of us really knew what that was. We always thought, is that a guitar? That can't be a vocal. He had that whistle scream that he could still do back then. It really was a signature part of Dave's vocal sound and a signature part of Van Halen. Another signature part of Van Halen is Alex's drum sound, specifically the snare. Throughout the first few records, his snare sound developed into almost like a tom. It doesn't have a lot of snare on it, and the way it's pitched, it sounds like a tom-tom, but it's really incredibly recognizable. He hits rim shots every time, and just this feel is great. Let's check out the opening drum fill with the huge tom. Let's solo those toms and hear them. huge toms, right? It sounds like concert toms, or toms without the bottom heads on. That was kind of a thing back then. But when he starts laying into the groove, check it out. That snare is just unmistakably Van Halen. And that's, to me, gives it such a cool factor. It doesn't matter if the keyboards, if they may sound a little like what is this keyboard stuff with Van Halen? But once those drums come thundering in, it just gives a toughness to it. I want to talk about Michael Anthony's bass part too, because Michael Anthony, like I always says, gets the raw end of the deal. He was a great bass player, even if he played really simplistic parts. This was kind of a characteristic thing of the 80s, to do those disconnected eighth notes like that. He's got a lot of gain on it, right? And he's just, because it really goes along with the synth part, which starts pedaling on that C like that with the eighth notes. So here's the bass and drums together. Let's check them out and hear how the groove happens. Come on. That is so tight, right? It's like a machine, but it's not a machine. It's real. No click here. They're probably playing to a click. Tempo of the song is about 131 or so. I put a grid on it, but it's not even close. I mean, it's fluctuating because it's played by humans. Let's check out Eddie's entrance next. Really tight, muted eighth notes, separated. That reinforces the keyboard and the bass line there and makes it super tight. Next we have the verse vocal. I love how there's a lot of space in the vocal part. He leaves a big gap there to let the music go. A lot of people nowadays, you see a lot of songwriting where there's no spaces in the vocal. There's always something to fill. But this, let me solo the vocal so you can hear it.
I get up and nothing gets me down. You got it tough. I've seen the toughest around.
I love the rawness in Dave's vocals, like in this spot.
And I know, baby, just how you feel.
I love the way this line really plays off the snare. It's so in the pocket. Check it out.
You got to roll with the punches and get to what's real.
Those syllables are really tight with the snare. Check it out again.
You got to roll with the punches and get to what's real.
The word what's, I mean, every one of those words is dead on with the snare. I mean, he's really got a great sense of time. Next, we have the pre-chorus. To me, this is actually what makes the song great. This is the strongest part and my favorite part of the song. There's a couple reasons why. First of all, it goes to the relative minor, to A minor, but it actually kind of goes to A minor and goes to D minor, the 2 chord. So it's using the 2 chord and 6 chord. But having that minor feel juxtaposed with this 3/4 drum pattern that happens is really strong. That actually works with the vocal, which does a very straight 8th note pattern. Let's check each part out individually. So here is the, let me play it for you. Let me count it for you. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Then we're in 4. So you have this 3/4 thing going on in the drums. Listen to it. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we're into 4. And you have those crashes there that happen on 2, right, with the snare. Those actually go with the shout chorus vocals that have the answer jump line. Another thing that happens here is this keyboard part. Check it out. You have two things going on here. You have the chopped keyboard part that goes right there, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, right? So A minor to G major, and then it walks down on a G sus chord, and then it goes into the F, C, D minor part. Let's check it out again. 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. That goes along with the cool guitar part. Love it. I love that. Sounds like he's playing an open string with a fretted note, and then again. The last time it goes from A to G. Let me play along with the track there. And the note G resolves to the root of the dominant chord, because we're going to have a might as well jump and go to the tonic there, that 5-1 cadence. So let me talk about what's going on in the vocals against this. So you have this 3 against 4 pattern. So the vocals are going da 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 da. Well, the drums are going 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3. So it's a down to up, da 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 da, right? So that to me really propels the pre-chorus. Then when we get into the chorus, we have another cool thing with the pickup notes to the hook. Upbeat. So what you have, might as well jump. You have an upbeat on the jumps in Dave's part, but then the answer vocals that happen the first and the third time are on the beat 2 with the snare and the crash. So that really reinforces that answer shout chorus hook. Let's check it out. Up, down. Again. So go ahead and jump. So it's upbeat, downbeat, right? Down on 2 with the answer part. So the second verse is similar to the first. The next cool part to me that happens is also in the pre-chorus, but the second pre-chorus is a great tom fill before the chorus. Let's check it out. Then, love it. Let's solo the drums there. Listen. Right here. Next we come to the guitar solo and we have another key change. This is so hip. Listen. You gotta really focus in on the keys and drums. Let's check it out. It's like EDM music already. Check it out. It's great. Listen. Woo! Now, Eddie Van Halen is one of the greatest rhythm players of all time. Anybody that knows his playing, everybody talks about his soloing and everything, but any great player knows that Eddie Van Halen is one of the best rhythm guitarists of all time. Well, he's also one of the best keyboard rhythm guitarists because this is so in the pocket with the drums. Listen again. Let's hear what Michael Anthony does with this too. When it's those low D flats, it sounds like there's an octaver that comes in. Listen. That's definitely an octaver there because it makes it so heavy. So I put the chords in behind the solo, and you notice it goes to a B flat minor chord. So we are in C at the end of the chorus, and we go to B flat minor. Now that's a very odd modulation for a solo section to begin in. So you're in C major, then you go B flat minor, G flat, A flat, D flat, the 6th chord, and then 4, 5, 1. After it goes around twice, it goes from D flat down to C, a half step modulation down, like it's a Phrygian modulation. Really unusual. Let's talk about the solo next. Okay, there's a few tricky licks in here. Let me see if I can even play through the solo and get through it. Okay, that's the first part. That is actually a punch-in. If you go back and listen to the track soloed, you can hear that there's a dovetail there. That note is fading out, the reverb on that note. You hear it. So that's one little punch in there that's really clever. You'd never ever notice that. And then the really cool, he's got that lick that goes... then the fast lick at the end. My favorite lick is really the first one. That. And I like that. I love those pinch harmonics that he does. But the tapping lick is definitely an overdub, a punch-in. But it's a really killer solo. Works perfectly. I still don't know why they went to B flat minor on that. It sounds great. It jars your ear hearing that modulation. I remember the first time I heard it, I thought, whoa, that is cool. Let's talk about the keyboard solo next. Let me play the beginning of it. So it's essentially these triads arpeggiated over the bass note. So you've got the... and it does it again. When it goes to F, he's just going between F and G major triads. He starts on that G over F. And he's going back and forth between the F and the G, which gives it a Lydian sound. Then it hits the G chord here. So it's basically going between the 1, 4, and 5 triads in the key of G. But then we hit B flat, which is really interesting right here. Check it out. So he's using a G sus4, just arpeggiating up and down it. Then down to A. Then down to A flat. And then there's a little climbing lick that goes like this. And then it goes da da da. Sus2 to third to the root to end that and into the break. Now we're back to the intro again, the re-intro. Same thing. And then we're into the chorus again. Difference is the guitar, check it out, has a little bit of chorus on it, sounds like. And you have that higher pad. I love how the vocals are a lot more aggressive here on the out chorus. Check it out.
Might as well jump, jump. Go ahead and jump. Get it and jump, jump. Go ahead and jump.
I think people don't realize what a great singer David Lee Roth really was. He was a killer singer. He had great pitch and just had incredible attitude in his vocals. That's all for now. Please subscribe here to my Everything Music YouTube channel. If you're interested in the Beato book, go to my website at www.rickbeato.com. If you want to support the channel even more, you can become a member of the Beato Club. Thanks so much for watching.